coming to your senses.
Law-abiding citizen, that's me, Vera. What's the matter with you two? She could have cancelled the acting classes.
Yeah, well, if she hadn't started to throw her weight around, we might have got her out in time.
Look who's talking about weight.
Oh. It's all your fault if she gets bumped off.
The next one who shoots her mouth off is going to get a thick lip. Right, these seem fine. I'll take you to the recreation room.
Good, thank you. Now, Mrs. Jackson. Couldn't you get rid of him?
I told him you didn't want to see him, but he wouldn't go. He seemed awfully upset. Something to do with Caroline. Oh, I don't know.
All right, thanks.
Would you drive me to the court this afternoon?
Yes, of course. All right, what's this about Caroline?
Well, it's more to do with you, actually.
I think it's time you and me had a little chat.
I'd feel happier talking here. I'm willing to pay you to stay away from Caroline.
What?
Just name your price. A job like this can't pay much. You could probably do with some money.
You get out of here before I throw you
I
out.
don't think you'd want to create a scene, Fletcher.
If you think for 1 second I'd take you seriously, then you're sicker than I thought.
So just tell me what you want. You want me to beg? All right, I'm begging. Leave her alone.
Yes, Miss Bennett?
I'm just going out for my lunch hour. That's all, Mr. Fletcher.
I think you better start facing facts, Simpson. Nothing's going to change her feelings about you, with or without me. Now, do I call the gate and have you forcibly removed, or are you going to go quietly?
Mr. Simpson, isn't it?
Yes?
How's your wife getting on?
You better off asking Jim Fletcher that. He's the one who's been seeing her.
Oh, I'm sure he wouldn't be silly enough to do that. Officers aren't supposed to associate with ex-prisoners.
Then your governor doesn't care about it. I rang and told her, but he's still working there, isn't he?
Well, it was probably your word against his. The only way the proper action can be taken is if there's positive proof. Mrs. Davidson is very against her staff being involved in a scandal, I assure you.
The lunch bell's gone.
I'm not hungry.
Oh, come on, Doreen. Sharon loved that dog as much as anybody.
Yeah? Well, old Bennett's going to have her put down because of her.
You don't know that. I mean, someone's bound to want it.
Oh, Sharon always wants what everybody else wants.
Yeah, but you couldn't have kept it.
Yeah, but at least by now it might have been free.
There she goes. Poor little thing.
Murderer! Bloody killer! Yeah, how would you feel being taken to the glue factory?
I started the men's prison off on improvisation. Seemed to work okay. Well, it just gives me some idea how well they can express themselves. What do you think?
Well, you're the expert.
Yeah, but you know the women better than anyone.
Well, from what I've heard, they don't have any worries expressing themselves, believe you me.
Oh, when I think of the number of times I spent in that pan. You know, I used to read aloud just so I could remember the sound of my own voice.
Well, at least you got out with an education.
But it didn't help me to relate to people. You have to have someone who understands to do that.
Well, what about family or friends?
When you're in and out of prison for 20 years, you lose them all.
Yeah. I think the only people I know on the outside are the ones I've met in here. You ever been married?
Yeah, when I was 17.
Didn't she stand by you?
Well, a year after we got married, I got 5. Then I figured I should bust out and look after her. Look after her. 2 days later, I got busted for armed robbery, copped 20 years. Haven't seen her since.
Do you ever figure on getting caught?
Now I would, yeah, but not then. When I was 18, I reckon I was untouchable.
Yeah, I knew I'd be caught. And I thought it was worth it.
And now?
I'd do it again. How do you think you'll go rehabilitating me?
I reckon it's worth a try.
You go on in. I'll be there in a minute.
Oh, I don't mind waiting.
Please.
Nothing better to do with your time, Simpson?
It's a free country.
Guess what the hell do you think you're playing at?
You're the one who's playing.
It's bad and
Okay, you lot, I've got two things to say to you. Oi! The success of this group depends on you. So if it packs in, it's your loss. Number two, if it does fold up, you are going to have me to answer to. So anyone who gets out of line better look out.
If anyone's going to keep order, Smith, it'll be an officer, not an inmate.
Look, lady, B's right. If this does fall through, it will be your loss. You see, the whole idea of this group is to help you to, well, have confidence in yourselves and to communicate. Okay? Now, I thought we'd start off with improvisation. Oh, that's just putting on a small play without any preparation. As you make it up as you go along. Use your own imagination.
Get their kicks out of watching
Could be
little
any topic you
animals
like.
get tortured.
You can play any
Well,
person you
I
like.
heard that some of them even like watching them be murdered.
And then I'll ask for volunteers.
I got something to do.
Oh, that was quick. What's your name?
Mouse will do.
What's your idea?
I got a poem to say. The boy stood on the burning deck, his pants all full of cinders.
Okay, cut it out. Now, we want an idea for a play. You heard.
Yeah, some situation you all know. Something you can identify with.
Lizzie Birdsworth.
Yes, Lizzie.
What about we all do something out of the courts? We've all been in the courts. And
Okay, provided there's more than
You
one
had
person
enough
in it.
already, Brian.
No, I just want to lie down for a minute.
I could act out how I got back inside. It wasn't easy.
We've all heard it before, Lizzie, and it's boring.
Isn't it a fact, Mrs. Jackson, that you'd been out with the defendant several times prior to the alleged assault?
Yes,
And how did he treat you on those occasions?
he was very polite.
Were you taken with him?
I liked him.
Then can you tell the court why a man you liked, a man who was very polite to you, who treated you well, would suddenly attack you?
I was told he was violent, that he attacked a man in a hotel.
We've heard that point raised by the prosecution. May I remind the court the charge against the defendant was dropped through lack of evidence?
It will be struck from the record.
Thank you. Carry on, Mrs. Jackson.
Well, as I said, I was told he was violent. I decided not to see him again. When I told him that, he hit me.
You didn't have a date that night?
No.
I put it to you, Mrs. Jackson, that you were quite taken with the fact that he could be violent, and that you actually enjoy that sort of treatment.
It's not true. If Mr. Fletcher hadn't arrived, I don't know what would have happened to me.
We go on facts, Mrs. Jackson, not assumptions. Did you actually see the defendant hit Mrs. Jackson?
No.
And did you call a doctor to see if she was badly hurt?
No.
Why not?
She was too upset. She just wanted to be left alone.
Well, perhaps she was upset because you interrupted something.
Mr. Morgan, we go on facts, not assumptions.
Your Honor. Then you can't really be sure that Mrs. Jackson was in any danger, can you?
As far as I could see, he was extremely dangerous. He had no hesitation in attacking me. And at the time, I believed him capable of murder.
Did you actually hit Mrs. Jackson?
Much as I hate to admit it, yes. But only once. I went around to tell her I was going overseas, joining the army again. She didn't want me to go, and she got hysterical, so I hit her.
You have a fine army record, Mr. Butler.
Just doing the job.
And you're also responsible for saving Mr. Fletcher's life.
Well, that's water under the bridge now.
So, why would Mr. Fletcher want to testify against you?
I have no idea, sir.